Thank you so much for I just wanted to, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. Watkins. I'm your mayor. Thank you for not talking about I just wanted to say thank you to all of you for coming out tonight and for getting involved in the comprehensive plan and development code update. 2 years ago, when I was campaigning for mayor, I was trying to remember, and I don't remember, I think, a single conversation that at some point we didn't go into the need for updating our comp plan and really get on some of that stuff. So when we came into office, our mayor and council, that's what one of our priorities was. And tonight is part of we're at kind of the midpoint of getting that project done. And without you, it wouldn't happen, because all the input that we are getting is right now coming from us tonight, from meetings that have been going on for the last couple of months. And that's the critical ingredient to get this done. Once we get this done, then we're looking at the city council and the mayor, we don't have the information that we need. Our confidence and our development codes so that people are statement. So thank you for showing up. Steve Mouse, who is going to be running this meeting.
Thanks everyone for being here tonight. My name is Steve Faust. I work for a land use planning and public involvement firm in Beaverton called 3J Consulting. And really excited to be working on this comprehensive plan and development code update for Carlton. We got started in, I think, January, February timeframe. And we're now at the point where it's time to develop a vision. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of what we've done thus far. Before I do that, with me is Natalie Knowles. She's been helping out with our committee work. And Amy and Shannon, do you want to introduce yourselves real quick in the back? People should know who else is behind here.
Amy in the planning department and everything else.
Shannon Beaucaire, city manager.
Thank you both. And just will also have our advisory committee members introduce themselves. Let's go ahead to the next slide. So tonight, I'm going to give you just a brief overview of what this project is, a summary of the community outreach that's been happening for the last 4 months, and then I'll present what we've developed in terms of a very rough draft vision and get your feedback on that. And then we'll talk a little bit more and kind of flesh out some of the details of the vision together. So a little bit of brainstorming and group work tonight. If we had a bigger space and tables, we'd maybe break into small groups to have discussions. But tonight, I think we're just going to have to do it as a big group. So I hope that's okay with everybody. And then we'll try to get you out to enjoy the rest of your evening tonight. Next slide. And again. So what is a vision and a comprehensive plan? For those who are not aware of what a comprehensive plan is, it is every city in the state is required to have a comprehensive plan. And it regulates land use, transportation, housing, economic development, really all these kind of key elements of land use for each city. And then in turn, the comprehensive plan needs to be aligned with what some state planning goals. Oregon has these statewide planning goals that kind of dictate land use in the state, and each city's and county's comprehensive plan makes sure that we're aligned with those statewide planning goals. But also what it does is it's the policy document that guides growth and development in the city of Carlton over a 20-year time frame. And comprehensive plans can be updated more frequently than every 20 years. But each time you do it, you're setting a 20-year horizon. So in this case, we're planning for 2042. And in terms of the vision is really the look at, where does Carlton want to be in 2042? It's kind of the overarching statement of where the city wants to be in 2042. And then underneath that, we develop goals and policies to support, to implement that vision. We have a few slides on that here. Next. So in terms of this process, we're starting off doing two things. And what we've done the most of is developing this 2042 vision and doing the outreach to support that. At the same time, Natalie primarily has been going through various plans and background reports, things of that nature, to gather as much information, like I said, about those topics like housing, economic development, transportation, infrastructure, utilities, and gathering because the comprehensive plan, in addition to goals and policies, also has a little bit of background report to give each chapter context. Next slide. So, like I said, after we develop this vision, which we're going to be doing over the next few months here, and we have our background report, then the next phase of the process, post 4th of July, is going to be to start developing goals and policies. So our vision is, where do we want to go? Where do we want to be? And our goals and policies tell us how we want to get there. And in the end, our comprehensive plan is made up of the vision, the background reports, and our goals and policies. That really makes up the comprehensive plan. Amy, do you know when the last time the comprehensive plan, I can't remember, either was created or updated in whole?
Last update was 2009.
2009. And was that a full update or a?
I mean, it was kind of just a revamp of the one prior, so
Yeah.
not many changes.
So comprehensives don't get updated all that often. So this is really a chance to kind of set the course for the next 20 years. Next slide, please. So in terms of our schedule, I don't have my laser pointer on me, but you can see where the red circle is. We have an advisory committee, the red square, that met in February to kick off the project. And again in May to look at the work that we've done to date, which I'll present to you in just a moment. The gold star is us here tonight. And then we need to update the schedule, but we'll be bringing the draft vision to City Council in July. After July, we'll start that process of developing goals and policies. You'll hear from us in an iterative process back and forth until we have a draft comprehensive plan, which again will be available for review by all of you and your neighbors. And then there's an adoption process at the end with Planning Commission and City Council. Next. Let's go to the next slide. So our community outreach consisted of two main activities. One was community conversations, where we met with different groups throughout the city, kind of existing groups. Natalie, do you remember some of those off the top of your head? Put you on the spot.
I know there was there's Carlton specific organizations as well as county organizations. I can think of the Yamhill Action Program.
PTO. Yeah.
And
So several existing organizations like that. We had 10 of those meetings, and then we had an online questionnaire. How many folks took the online questionnaire? All right, not as many as we would like, but at least some of you did. And in fact, what's that?
didn't know there was one.
Yeah. So we've been advertising the project through the newsletter, through the city's website, through email lists, and then the postcard advertised this meeting. So we've been trying to get the word out in as many ways as possible. So if you didn't see that first online questionnaire, I apologize for that. Hopefully you're able to get on our mailing list, and we'll make sure that you stay informed going forward. So we probably had close to around 200 people participate in this initial phase. And we asked two basic questions. Number one, what makes Carleton special today? And we asked that in a number of different ways. What do you love about Carleton? Why did you move to Carleton? Different ways of getting at the same thing about what do you like about Carleton today? And the second question is, what would you like to see change in the future? Two really basic questions that get to the core of a community mission. Next slide. So I don't know if you all are familiar with word clouds, but basically we took all the responses, or had a software program take all the responses, and the larger the word, the more times it appeared in people's responses to that question about what do you love about Carleton today. So you can see things like sense of community, small town feel, businesses, downtown, walkable, parks, family friendly, the people. You can see kind of those ideas that rose to the top, and we heard very frequently in the responses that we gathered. Next slide. And you can see a couple, I don't know if people can read these, but we just picked out a few quotes to kind of give a flavor of what people were saying. The first one says, what makes Carleton special is its sense of community and togetherness. It's a quaint small town. We need to preserve this because not only do I feel like people move here to experience this, but tourists like that too. They like to go to cute small towns for the experience. A good walking footprint is important too. Second one says, love the downtown area and the charm and feel of the older established buildings. New commercial and business growth should take the atmosphere and feel into consideration when new construction and growth are approved. So just a little flavor of kind of the responses that we heard. Next slide. So what we did after going through these hundreds of responses and using the word cloud and using quotes like that, we tried to pull out what we thought some of the key themes were. And this was, before we get into the key themes, I forgot to mention those community conversations that I mentioned. And another way that we help spread the word is that we have a great advisory committee that's met twice and been advising us throughout. And I was wondering if those on the advisory committee just raise your hand so people can see who's been doing a lot of this work. We've got at least 4 folks here, so 5. So yeah, work you've been doing. So in terms of our key findings here, we have preserved the small town atmosphere, specifically the community, safety, and family-friendly opportunities. We have facilitate community togetherness through events and activities, walkability, and investments in schools. Support and expand businesses. Downtown and its businesses are thoroughly loved with the hope for expansion of certain business types. I think we heard a lot of people have a desire for a grocery store of some sort. Promote enhancements to infrastructure with a specific focus on pedestrian amenities, routing Highway 47 to reduce traffic and other physical hardscape improvements. And the last theme that we had here was historic features and culture, preserving historical buildings, features of town through architectural guidance and overall downtown aesthetic. So those were kind of the main themes that we pulled out of all these hundreds of responses. Let's go to the next slide now. And just for a little bit more to go just one level deeper, in terms of these questions and some of the themes for each question, what you love about Carleton today, you'll remember some of these things from the word cloud: small town atmosphere, caring community, downtown charm, historic buildings, the proximity of Carleton to McMinnville for some of those other needs, parks, walkability, and the rural agricultural aesthetic. Next slide. And in terms of what people wanted to see change in the future, infrastructure and maintenance improvements, improved traffic conditions, a community center or town hall, a place for people to gather, more diverse business types, more recreation opportunities, and there's also a concern about growing housing unaffordability and the cost of water. So these were some of the things that people said they wanted to see change in the future. So let's go to the next slide. So what we've done is taken those themes and everything we've learned, and we've started to craft our vision statement. The first step, Natalie, In terms of the vision statement, again, how this all fits together. Our vision statement is the what? It gives our overall direction for the comprehensive plan. Next. Then we have our goal statements. That's going to be what we start working on a little bit today, but mostly after the 4th of July. That's what we must achieve to get to that vision. And third is policy direction. The how are we going to do it to get to these specific outcomes. So today we're way at the top at the very high level vision statement. We're not getting into a lot of specific details. We're really kind of setting the stage for the comprehensive plan itself. Next slide. So here's what we came up with. We've got rural heritage and small town character, prosperous economy, family-friendly neighborhoods, and well-planned infrastructure. What we hope is that these 4 categories kind of encompass, we can encompass all of the things that we talked about. We'll begin to fill in the details, but we wanted to put them under some sort of umbrella. And we got some advice, some help from the, some input from the advisory committee on that as well. Next slide, Natalie. So, in terms of some of the things we heard before and how they fit under these categories, for rural heritage and small town character, we heard about the agricultural legacy and rural setting, about Carlton being safe, quiet, and quaint, the desire for community events and gathering places, an active community that gets involved, historic preservation, the fact that there's generations of families that have lived here, and neighbors that know and take care of each other. For family-friendly neighborhoods, quality, affordable housing. We want a community that's safe and connected, that has parks and recreation opportunities, and that has quality schools, libraries, emergency services. Prosperous economy, we want minimum wage jobs, a vibrant downtown, diverse businesses, and to balance the needs of residents while also attracting visitors. We heard a lot about that balance, really needing to serve the needs of the community. It's okay to serve the people coming from outside, but we need to make sure we're taking care of the needs of community members first. And then well-planned infrastructure, safe and efficient transportation options, reliable public utilities, responsible governance, a network of natural spaces and trails, and preserving natural resources. So that is as far as we've gone with our work to date. And the first thing that I would like to do, next slide, Natalie, maybe you can go back to the previous slide in a second. Do these kind of vision themes that we developed through all of your output, does that kind of match what you all see for Carlton? And is there anything that's missing that you think is important to include in the vision? Yes, please.
I think we need to consider like elderly more. The elderly were, I was at about 5 meetings. Elderly was talked about very much, making sure life was better for them.
Sure.
And we also discussed a lot of the new subdivisions being different, farther apart, more artistic looking, not all the same. That's all I have about everything.
So kind of diverse,
Yeah, not could be better.
yeah.
More space, free space, everything.
Can you say more green space?
Have the same house.
Yeah. All right, that's good. Yes, sir.
Yes, you said there was state guidelines for the future.
Yeah.
And there are county guidelines. And I think those should be up there somewhere to make people aware of, okay, this is where we have to go.
I understand what you're saying. The next time we have a meeting like this, just one moment, I'll definitely have the very least statewide planning goals so everyone can see those. But rest assured that we are tracking kind of where we're going to make sure we're kind of meeting all the check marks that we need to meet. Yes.
So the lighting in Carlton is sort of a connection of mismatched, street lighting, and then the new subdivisions are super bright. I just want to remind Carlton that we are part of the Carlton Observatory project, and we would like to preserve our dark skies And people from Beaverton are trying to come out sometimes even just to see stars as they come out from a winery, and they're going to be disappointed. I do like safety, and I agree, you know, safety should be good, but you need to turn the lenses down and the rest of, so dark sky lighting.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. Standing in front of us. Other thoughts? Yes.
A consideration of limitations on Airbnbs and considering the impact they have in neighborhoods when there are multiple in a block.
So this is a great example. I'm going to use this as an example. So in the vision, we talk about this, right? Balancing the needs of residents and visitors. And what you just gave me, I'm going to hang on to this, will probably show up more in the goals and policies and not necessarily in the vision. But those are great comments to get right now. That's why I was saying tonight we're focused on the vision, but we're also a little bit kind of setting the stage for our goals and policies as well. Because sometimes it's hard to distinguish between them, but that's a perfect comment that we can work into those policies when we get to that stage of things.
Is there anything there that indicates what kind of overall aggregate growth Carlton would be looking at?
Yeah.
It was not that long ago that Carlton was about 1,000 people, 2,000 people service. And under certain conditions, it could grow rapidly or it could just presumably the level of growth that Carlton would be looking at will dissipate this.
Yep. So let me just write that down. Cities in Oregon are required, and I don't know, I have to take another look because there's different rules for cities of different sizes. But typically speaking, cities need to provide for 20, again, that 20 years that we were talking about, need to plan for 20 years of growth. And population estimates come from Portland State University and then kind of trickle on down to make sure that each city has enough land in its urban growth boundaries. So we can provide some information on that the next time we all get together. But
In connection with that, any changes as well that might be anticipated in the UGB.
right, and that's what our UGB does. That's what the UGB is supposed to be, is that 20-year, what we have today plus 20 years in the future. And then every so often, cities will take another look at that and say, do we have enough land for the next 20 years?
How specific will this plan, finally? Yeah.
We can certainly provide some information about that. There are specific, two specific tools that are used to determine how much land is needed for housing and how much land is needed for jobs. Those aren't part of our project to kind of run that all the way up, but we can certainly look at the population projection and share that at the very least. We don't quite get to the land needs. That's something that could be added later if the city wants to do those housing and economic development studies. But we certainly can find the most recent population forecast for Carlton and kind of think about what the implications might be.
And I've talked to, the last, two planners before our mayor, I talked to our mayor also, and this is a concern I have, because the population and all of that is very good, but it's the economical design of our, infrastructure. Right now, for instance, the zoning instance, we're putting in every 3 to 7 years, a pump station at east end of Main Street here. We're putting in $500,000 to $700,000 to upgrade it. I don't have the exact figures because no one will give them to me. But we have the technology today to have the developers run gravity lines instead of, and get rid of that pump station. The same way with the pump station on the other side of town. Right now, we're developing, and they may have to put an extra pump station to lift to the one at the end of the street. But the technology's there that we do not need a pump station, so why upgrade them every so many years for the cost, a couple times, we can pay for it ourselves to get in gravity. Let's get the developers to do this for us at no cost to us. And the same way with water, we are in a very unique situation. And we provide water if we have interruption of our electricity to the city through gravity. We have the reservoir on the hill. McFindle's the same situation. Taking gravity all the way to the residents. We need to be looking into potential problems in the future that we can have our infrastructure take care of itself. We also need to not benefit the developers and give them stuff which we won't give the residents. And I can name a number of cases where developers of wine and the city went and did the work for them. We need to be across the board equal. And if you want documents, I will be more than happy to get them to you. All you have to do is ask. I offered it to the mayor when she got elected. She never contacted me. All I can do is talk and ask people to contact me, let me work with them. I at one time offered to do AutoCAD on all of the utilities, the water and sewer and storm in the city. No one ever followed me up on it. I do not have AutoCAD on my desk anymore. But we need to use the people in this town to help make our community economical, feasible, because we are not wealthy.
Thank you. That's great. And like I said, you know, obviously this is well-planned infrastructure is a priority for people. We heard that a lot. And we'll be kind of digging deeper into that issue as we move forward. And your knowledge and expertise will be helpful and welcome. Thank you. Next chair.
This leads to something that maybe isn't here, is educating the citizenry on how things get designed and paid for. Because to put it on the developer, they're not doing it out of charity. It has a trickle down to the overall cost of the end product. And so there is no magic money, and we need to understand how choices we make will have to be paid for.
And you are 100% right, but the developers already they have to pay for the upgrade, for instance, the pump station. They have to pay for the maintenance and stuff that needs to be upgraded on it. Why don't they put that money into putting a gravity line through and allow us to get rid of the pump station? Like the same amount of money.
We don't need to get down in the weeds.
Thank you. Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of time for these conversations, but these are important things to bring up.
And so word I think that's missing up there is modernization of the infrastructure. So to expand a little bit, bring it up a higher level is modernizing our infrastructure. And to your point about using the citizens, we have amazing creative business people in our community that we really should capitalize on. What the wineries are doing with their modernization absolutely applies to the city and infrastructure. So I would love to see that as part of the next step.
Great.
Yeah, I'm kind of concerned about the water. I mean, we're doing pretty good this year, but we somehow have to be able to say, hey, you know, we have so much water, I'm sorry, Mr. Developer, but we can't let you in until things change. Otherwise, we're gonna be cutting ourselves short. I mean, the wineries use a lot of water, you know, way before, you know, we've been here way before the wineries were, and there's plenty of water. I'm not blaming the wineries, but I'm saying that we need to be diligent about our water use and how it reflects with our development.
I'm hearing a lot of concerns about growth and development and infrastructure, and I think, you know, we have that covered in these in this framework that we're developing right now. So thank you for that. Any other things that we might be missing from this list? Yeah.
More of a question and then maybe a comment. Was sustainability brought up in the focus group? And what's it taking on?
I don't recall sustainability being a major theme. Natalie, are you there? Okay. Mark, you were recently read through like all the comments on the comments, but I don't remember people using that word directly a lot.
Yeah, I'm curious if the state and county guidelines are veering that direction. I know City of Portland, there's a lot of push that can also compromise what cities want to do. So there's such a balance, right? Sustainable features and things you want to do and cost that comes along with that. So I'm curious because I didn't see it anywhere out there. And with many people, including myself, coming into the area, that's hot in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
But again, there's balance.
You know, at one point in time, maybe 15 years ago, there was a lot of talk about, so right now there's 19 statewide planning goals, some of them apply to Carlton, some don't. But there was a lot of talk about creating a 20th goal for sustainability. And I think in the end, the feeling was that if you put all the goals that are already there together, what you get out of that is sustainability. But I do think it's an important issue to raise and that we're going to want to make sure that it's included in our work. Yep.
How far do we have to go before we're the point of San Jose, California? Because that really sucks. I moved out of California because we couldn't have trash. That's where California right now is getting smaller and smaller, and my rearview mirror when I'm headed home. I don't want to be in a million people city ever again. I don't even like driving through it. So how much is too much? How much is enough? How much building are you gonna do before we're finally telling everybody on the city council, screw you, we don't want this anymore? I don't want growth. I like Carlton being a small little community that is very quiet. It's safe to let my kids play outside. It's safe to let my grandkids play outside. I don't want that to change. I mean, I get we need more parks. I understand that. The elementary school, they lock that sucker up like it's a bank after hours. They got a nice big field out there, and of course, you know, people can run the track out there, but they lock it in.
Yeah, I guess I'll do my, I mean, that's the big question for a lot of people. What I can say is that one of the things that is unique about Oregon is this land and use planning system, and it makes sure that when growth does happen, it happens in a well thought out and organized and well planned manner.
No, they're looking at the dollar that they're gonna make. They don't care what the citizens have to say, or what the citizens have to go through. They look at the money that they are putting in their pockets.
Okay.
It just depends on if the farmer sells his land and sells it, that's what it comes down.
Yeah. Yes.
You brought up the elderly, and I noticed, I guess, would be in family-friendly neighborhoods. One of the things that Carlton did have was that bus service to help people who couldn't get around. And so I would want to make sure that that's included somehow. Sort of isn't really specified, so.
Yeah.
Services for elderly and people who need assistance.
Could we just further that and just say transportation in general, because you know, I have an adult child essentially who's neurodivergent, and driving doesn't look like I'm talking about here. So driving may not be something that's in her future, and we live here in Carlton, of course, so it'd be great if there were options for her to get to and from McMinnville or Newburgh if she needed to, and I know we have that, you know, one kind of bus station that's there kind of across from him, right? But I think the times are pretty limited from when they come. I think the last time we were looking at that was for her, so just having something that was, I don't know, would be awesome.
Great.
When I was talking about helping the elderly out, I was also meaning one-story houses, a percentage of one-story houses, easier access. You know, we're getting older. Right, and these two-story houses and three-story houses don't work for elderly.
Smaller homes, I don't know if you've seen the statewide discussion, but smaller homes are becoming a really main topic of conversation, not just for our elderly population, but for just affordability purposes, trying to encourage smaller homes that more households can afford.
I just wanted to speak again to the well-planned infrastructure because we do need to incorporate that we're going to make it maybe solar friendly, looking at our increasing need to have disposal of sewage waste and how can we maybe have a biodigester like we have in Tillamook or somewhere to maybe create energy as we build new buildings, like maybe for the police, make sure that they have backup solar batteries, like a Tesla solar panels and solar wall.
Some of that modernization that was mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Anything else that we might be missing from this list that we want to add? Yes.
I'm wondering about an emergency plan, and maybe we already have that, in
Like natural disaster planning.
exactly, and that's something that is, known.
We're doing a comprehensive plan in the city of Sandy right now. Wildfire preparedness is one of the big issues that they want to include in their comprehensive plan. Yes.
Now, we brought up the disasters. 3 years from now, the climate will be very different here in Calvin. And you are able to find maps and models today on what it's gonna look like. So you might wanna factor that in.
Anything else?
Leaving on the rest of that page. Community education, whatever about this, we don't need to know why. And I think just email not good. We need to be doing mailers. I talked about sustainability effectively, but it exists for a reason. And mailbox.
What, the mailbox that exists for a reason?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, who got a postcard for tonight? Okay. There you go.
Exactly.
Did I see correctly, 154 people responded to the survey?
I think that includes the people who participated in the community conversations as well. We ran 10 of those. Some of them, the results were uploaded through the survey, so I'm not sure of the exact number, but yes, approximately.
I am discouraged that there's 2,200 people in town and 154 surveys which were returned. There needs to be a better way to collect information. A lot of people were locked out or didn't hear about it or didn't know how the technology to do the email, to do the web search, to do the survey.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. There's no perfect answer. We, try the mechanisms that we have at our disposal. That's why we're meeting in person here today. Obviously, with COVID concerns kind of going up and down and up and down, it's like, oh, in person, online. A lot of real challenges there. Hopefully, everyone signed up tonight and gets on this email list. I want to stress that it's not like, and I can leave the community survey open too, although tonight we're opening a new one. But I just want to stress that it's not like if you didn't take that questionnaire, your opportunity to just say it is over. We're going to be running this comprehensive plan process through the end of this calendar year, more or less. And there's going to be multiple rounds of opportunities to participate online, in person, in various ways. So thank you for that.
I was gonna add, it sounds like the answer is yes, but, so the 10 community groups obviously are important stakeholders, but it definitely doesn't touch everybody, So
Not even close.
and it sounds like, the postcard is a good way to reach other people that aren't online, that aren't maybe in the newsletter or the listserv, and that aren't coming to all those meetings anyway. But are there other plans to try to reach folks that aren't reachable, I guess? Or how often
on the postcard is? It's everyone in town plus a few more, is that right?
The post office has 3 different routes, one going in the post office boxes, and then north, south, east, west. So they have the way their route system is, it's 3 routes. So we have the option of doing just the post office boxes or everybody in town and surrounding area.
So we will continue to use the mechanisms that we're using. We'll continue to do, some periodic mailers, to rely on all of you to share this information with your friends and neighbors. No matter how much we try, some people are not gonna know about it, but we're doing our best. I'm gonna finish your.
Yeah, well, this is your consultant, right? So
Yes.
you do this in lots of cities, for sure. I would think that you would have some best practices of reaching those folks that are hard to reach, right? Or what's worse,
We're.
it's less than 10% of the population and that's just the city limits, isn't really very representative.
That is not unusual. That is pretty standard, no matter what community we work in. 10% is not bad at all. We've seen worse. We've seen some that have done a little bit better, but 10% is a reasonable response to an online questionnaire. Which is why we have meetings like this, which is why, during the summer, to the extent that there's different events, we'll be out at those events, with tables and booths, we use all the mechanisms we can. Unfortunately, there's no this is the way that everyone is gonna know that this is going on. But if you have ideas, we'd love to hear them for sure.
That was my
Okay.
intention, was going to be hopefully there will be a presence at Monday.
Yeah.
There's far more than 10%. So that should be a way to communicate with a lot of people that won't even be looking for the information.
Do they like it or not? Yes, sir.
So previous slide, there was a mention there about the rerouting of the highway and then also reducing traffic. And I think my real concern is that it's going to have the opposite effect. So there's going to be a lot more traffic coming through town once the highway gets quote unquote straightened out. And I think it would really be helpful in conversation with ODOT to understand exactly what that means. So, because I think there's going to be a major spike in traffic coming through town.
That's the second part of this.
Add on to that, that is really controlled a lot by the actual routing of the road, whether it will increase the traffic impact to the main part of the town, or will it somewhat bypass the town and leave less traffic. It would be nice, we've had a number of hypotheticals, but it would be nice to have some sort of information about what the proposed route would be, so that you can get input on it.
So I would encourage you, I know that there's a current ODOT project on this. I encourage you to pay attention to the city website to track everything that's going on that project. All right. Anything else we missed here? All right. Next. Thanks, that really helps us again, not only with itself, but you just identified a bunch of topics that really love making sure we cover in the comprehensive plan and the policies themselves. So I appreciate that conversation. Now we're gonna do something that might be a little bit more challenging, which is, well, I guess, literally, I'm gonna challenge you to help us come up with, hopefully it's fun too, some statements to help us build the vision. Let's go to the next slide. So, for example, rural heritage and small town character. Here's the topics that we had under there. Types of statements that help us build the vision often start with something like, in 2042, Carlton is, or in 2042, Carlton has X, Y, Z. So you can say, Carlton has preserved all of its historic buildings, or, Carlton has preserved its agricultural heritage. Those are not the best examples, but that's really what a vision is made up of. It's taking these topics and making statements about them. What is literally your vision for Carlton in 2042 when it comes to rural heritage and small town character? So, challenging you to kind of help us build this vision and say, what do you want to see in Carlton in 20 years from now? Can you make a statement about what is the state of affairs when it comes to this topic? Or we can go to a different topic. We want to start here going to work. A little more challenging. Go ahead.
One thing, a lot of people here have minimal history on Carlton. Carlton Lake was one of the primary interests in history, and so was the log cabin. And the history has changed dramatically since the loss of those two items. So I put that out there for, if you're looking at 2020, how do we eliminate reducing some of the heritage that we already have lost?
Not
like
following that. Yeah.
Fish it going.
All right.
So, I had a unique experience in the 100th year of Carlton in 1999. So I run a little historical museum during Carlton Fun Day with my husband. Community love, because everybody brought us stuff. We didn't have anything. We were just movies. And so I love Carlton and love its history, but the legacy really concerns me because it feels like there's a huge disconnect between agricultural and rural. Between rural and urban. And one of the things is it feels like people are very angry that farmers make dust or have machines on the roads and all this kind of stuff. And so I don't know, we need more education, we need more communication. Our agriculture society is amazing. And I love the Maltesers, and if they need to sell their land because they need to sell their land, it's okay if houses come to Carlton. I don't want it to be sound they are totally free. But I don't know quite how to, I'm just bringing it.
Yeah, I need a statement. I need
Let's take it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's keep communication and education about our agricultural legacy, which is amazing. So it's not just through FFA, it's not the school, it's like, how do we help people understand that what the agriculture community is doing is important, and that includes viniculture. We're doing something important, and the community is important too. But we wouldn't have Carlton if we didn't have our hazelnut, our wineries, our grass fields that I'm allergic to. Bless their hearts.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Carlton in 2043 respects the diverse interests and needs of the town and surrounding rural areas.
What was the original question? I didn't hear.
What do you want Carlton to be?
Four categories, but right now.
Oh, wow.
In 2024, Carlton has a great sense of community with each other, strong community. Connection. Everyone working together. It's gonna be awesome.
Now you're ditching, now you're ditching.
I think that might be already places with.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. Yeah.
Stay here, should we move?
Come along, when you're ready.
Well, let me get the paper later. Okay. The safe, vibrant, and at night quiet community and family, surrounded by an amazing agricultural setting.
You're getting the hang of this already. Any more? Let's move on to the next one. All right, Anna, let's move on to the next. Friendly neighborhoods. What do we, this can reflect, it can either be the state of things today that you like, or it can be what you want these neighborhoods to look like in the future.
In 20, Carlton is a safe and well-maintained, has safe and well-maintained infrastructure.
Okay. Move that back to the infrastructure one. That's good. Yes, to the back.
I would say at that time, I'd love to be able to say that we have always had and continue to have a phenomenal police department that helps keep our neighborhood safe.
Why I put infrastructure in here is we're talking about walkability and such, and part of the infrastructure is paths, roads, sewer, water, electrical, all of that is infrastructure. So that's why
100%. There's definitely crossover between these. There's nothing that falls into just one category. Definitely crossover.
Carlton City with predominantly owner-occupied residents.
Say that again.
Carlton is a city with predominantly owner-occupied residents.
Oh, I thought you said older. That's hard aging.
Is that
It happens when you want to.
issue or rentals in general?
Primarily short-term.
Yeah, I would include that if you want to discriminate against long-term renters, long-term residents.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
primarily short.
Great, that's what I wanted to clarify.
2042, I'd like to see housing, like common housing, and none of them look the same. There's some skill, but, again, I'd like to see a different type of neighborhood.
Like lot sizes.
Lot and lots.
200 square feet and we love a couple of acres. There's any place now.
Carlton becomes a community with diverse neighborhoods, both diverse in housing and population. They are connected with many multimodal transportation opportunities.
Some of what this and the previous one come down to too is, what people envision as a small, what is it that makes it a small town or a family-friendly neighborhood? Believe it or not, I've done this exercise in towns, 25,000, they also consider themselves a small town. So we also have to dig a little bit deeper to find out, well, what does that mean to you?
People on the street speaking to each other is what makes it a small town, knowing each other. Yeah, and that's facilitated by multimodal transportation opportunities, getting people out.
A community garden, the community garden education to help people grow food.
Charlton is a safe and healthy place to raise your children with something about school, parks and recreation, and safe place to walk and play.
2042, Carlton schools are noted for their interaction with the residents. Because so much of our school right now is governed by outside. Our curriculum and everything else, I like to see our residents having more input.
And that,
Just speaking to the community feel, by that time, I hope that we will have really improved, we're starting building, I believe, bringing more local people up to the uptown businesses and making it more shopper friendly here in town, so that people don't feel like they have to go someplace else to get the diversity of.
Does that relate to the type of businesses that you're?
Yeah,
in
kind of
town?
much, yeah, and making sure that, you know, people that live here know, hey, I can go up to my local whatever. That's important.
So that might involve changing the mix of businesses.
Or being more invitational, or, you know, entrepreneurs are helping people, start diverse businesses. I'm not sure exactly how that looks, but it's great to have a mix of businesses. We've seen so much improvement, even just in this last couple of years on the north side of Main Street. But it's definitely different on almost every building on the north side, and it's great.
Totally echo that, as a young family, to have dinner on Monday night, I'd rather keep my money local in Carlton. Than go to Madison. Couple words that are unfair, I think we all have things, and we hope that Carlton never means that, but people are talking about with saying hi on the street. Feeling so welcome. Huge, and then also desirable, if you are to see out and see that a place that people want to bring from, that possibly good to have in real estate, which is a really good talk on that, so I would like to see that priority today.
I would like to propose that Carlton embraces the arts. There are so many children who are not getting art. There's arts in school. I'm a retired teacher in the community. We do the best we can, but it's not testable, so we don't do it as often as we would like to. But the community, we've got chalk art, we've got music, and of course, COVID is kind of screwed that all up. But let's look at arts and how we can embrace community members who are quite artistic and involve more people in the arts.
back here.
Dollar General in Carlton.
We mentioned families, I'd like to mention children, and I'd like to mention people aging here, like it's a safe place to age, that there would be services. You know. Yeah. community centers.
Could I add to the art and the community? In 2042, I'd like us to have at least 3, not Sundays, but cultural experiences are there. Something that involves the community. That way we get to the arts and stuff, but
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, talking about bringing the agriculture back.
All right, let's go to the next one. We touched on a little bit of this, but let's expand on it. This economy, talking about what types of jobs, businesses, what you want for downtown, and then the trick of balancing the needs of residents and visitors.
Definition of family based jobs.
Yeah, I think there's probably like a technical definition, which I don't know off the top of my head, but probably a local based family or something like that.
Do you know how Carlton compares right now?
It's shown on your statement to get us.
We show income, we don't.
I don't show anything.
We don't show like, yeah.
We don't know.
Because people might work, I'm sure a lot of people work elsewhere. Nothing specific here, we can move on to the next one.
Well, I'm just worried about all of it. If we're gonna increase the businesses in town, what about the parking?
Yeah.
We got a problem with that going on now, since we get covered in Black City.
Range of parking spots, Calvin?
All the time.
On the weekends,
Weekends in general?
or some wine festival.
Is there other parking problems like located?
They overflow into the neighborhoods when all.
There aren't any parking lots.
But it's downtown parking you're talking about.
Parking, downtown parking fills up and then it's.
Oh.
Anything else in this topic? All right, now let's go to the next one. We've heard a lot about this one already, but if there's something that you haven't said, now's the time.
There's responsible governance. I think it's having a place where in 2042, we actually have a place we can meet for.
Sewer, power, transportation, our natural spaces, kind of like our ecosystems as well. All those things are important.
Last one really pieced into this, but being able to afford as a community to keep our infrastructure, in the long term.
Yes, yes.
Okay. In regard to my comments earlier, they fall into, the sewer, water and power and preserving natural resources. Like, the removal or minimizing pump stations preserves natural resources. Having full mapping of our sewer and water power will help us determine where and what we need to do. And that can be handled with the expertise that the public citizens have, if you will just allow us to provide it.
Hopefully we're giving that a start today, right? Anything else? This is a lot that we can build.
I think this would go probably better on the previous slide, but I grew up down in Junction City, and one of the primary goals of young people was to get out of there. And I think Carlton wants to be a place where the young people have the opportunity to stay.
Yes. Want to come back with the good.
Yeah.
Well, that little handout we put together kind of shows the different demographic breakdowns. You can get a feel for kind of where the city is as a whole right now.
Just a comment to that point. When you look at who we are, most of the people in this room probably fall into the last two categories. And the goal is to make Charlton a place that the young people want to stay. Is there, I mean, did you track it all when you're getting responses, who you're getting responses from, age-wise or anything, to see if there's different priorities for different generational groups? Is that, I mean, if you're thinking about a 20-year plan, people that are 65 plus might not be using a lot of these amenities in 20 years, but the people that are, you know, in the 5 to 19 year range would be.
Yeah, definitely. In the outreach that we've done so far, we haven't gotten into the schools, but that's definitely on our list of trying to engage at least high school, if not even younger students. So if we have, if people can help with avenues to doing that, we're definitely open to it.
Just to tag on to that, I have the privilege of being able to work with the community countywide assessment plan a few years ago. And demographically, out here in our part of the county, we are primarily old. We have one of the biggest senior populations in our Carlton, Yamhill rural area. And also, just to put an interesting figure on that, the baby boom generation, which is the biggest population demographic, is all going to be over the age of 65 in 7 years, because I'm one of the last ones. So it is definitely, and absolutely, we want to be young people friendly, but also we're living longer. And hey, I plan on tootling around on my bike when I'm 78. So.
And we heard services, transportation, housing for a lot of those. Anything else?
Well, I think what's on the online survey board was in the community guidelines or whatever, we did write, I mentioned that it would be easy to go to the schools. It'd be a fun thing for the kids because rattle off, 3 things that they would focus on. I think the kids they would get a scholarship and
No question. It always ends up being a little bit more challenging logistically to get into the school to do this type of thing that you would hope. But we'll continue to work towards that for sure.
Art competition, future Carlton Drive. How do you get all then you get the art. Well,
But for today,
I don't know where this would go, but that Carlton would be a community that would nurture service. You mean like service? Yeah, service to service
Service to neighbors.
of one another. I don't have the words, but it has to do with community building, but also that there would be this generosity in our town with one another.
Just wanted to make a suggestion for perhaps instead of doing it in a space like this, the city park right there in the center of town, there's so many people that either walk by or see that park, or play there, especially in the evenings during the week even. I'd love to see a community or this type of event trying to, just community building or have more feedback happen in a space like that where even if you put out signs, just like they do for, the ladies' night that they put out all downtown that happens, put up signs, say this event's happening in the park on this night, and just have it in a space where everybody can walk to. Then you're not requiring people to, kind of head eye text to the cool people and was like, hey, I forgot this is happening tonight, and I'm gonna go, do you want to go? That's just, it'd be more simple, I think, for everybody, and you might get a lot more people and a lot, more diverse crowd there too.
Yeah, we'll definitely continue to use different venues and different mechanisms to try to get, this works for some people, not for others. Online works for some people, not for others. We'll definitely do some park activities as well. All right, let's go to the next slide now. It's getting close to time to wrap up. Next up, let's go ahead. So again, we're right here at this community meeting. Over the next month, we're going to be taking all this great work that you all shared with us. There also is, I'll show in just a moment, I think. If you go to Envision Carlton, just Google Envision Carlton, that's the project webpage. And yeah, it's kind of a long, that's why I say, if you go to the city website, or if you just Google Envision Carlton, you will get to the project webpage. But actually, this presentation is close to the project webpage. But anyway, there is another online survey that asks these same these questions that we've been talking about tonight. So we will get everyone to sign up from your email address. We'll send an email to everyone with that link. And actually, people talked about spreading the word. The best way is for you all to spread it to your friends and neighbors. Honestly, that's the best way to reach as many people as possible. So over the next month, we'll be crafting this vision statement. We're gonna bring it to council, in July. Do you remember the date? Put it on the spot.
I think it's the 5th.
That sounds good.
But it's good to get their feedback on it as well. It doesn't mean that I can't have some tweaks after that. And then we're gonna start to get into like I said, the goals and the policies. Everything we had tonight was not just the vision. There was a lot more to it. There was a lot of topics and issues that we want to raise in this comprehensive plan. That'll be the next step of what we need to do. So you can look to hear from us, probably, continually, but in July leading up to this meeting, and then again for more opportunities to participate as we go forward.
I have a question. What about the high school kids more involved in this? Because they're the ones that be the. So, there's some. But the high school, there's huge.
I agree 100%.
I would reach out to the student council. And also you're gonna run into summer and it's gonna be really hard to round those kids up if you want to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the pool. Sorry.
Something that's.
I'm kind of a visual person and very simple-minded in some ways. It really helps to know like what the parameters are. So if we could have some sort of a visual like overview list of specific things that we can't do. Right? So like this is not possible because the code says it this way, or we can't do this because the law says this. Because sometimes it can get really murky and we can wish all that we want. We could do this, that, and the other thing, but then you start finding out, no, the Bureau of Land Use said this, and blah, 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 and so I know that's a lot, but it could be just very like simplified.
That's fair. I mean, I do not like to stifle aspirations and ideas at this phase of the process.
And
What we want to hear is really what people want for their community. And we're starting like this and think of it as a little bit of a funnel. We start to kind of take all those aspirations and channel them into goals and policies. And it's our job to make sure that they adhere to this law. So we'll continue to share more of that. It sounds like there's a real appetite for understanding the full parameters of things. Usually there's not. So we can definitely, as we go forward, provide more information so you can kind of see what we're thinking and what the guidelines are and where we're headed to.
Thank you.
Go to that last slide. And that's all we have for tonight. We have to answer any other questions people have. But like I said, this is a lot. We're going to take this. We'll email you there. If you go to Carlton or the second online questionnaire that we'll kind of take you there for the next 3 weeks or so before we finalize the draft. And we'll make sure we send out the data that comes in as well. So but thank you all for taking the time.